Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on this Monday afternoon. I'm Jurnee Taylor, and here are the top stories we're following for you now at noon. Many Arkansans are making their voice known against what some are calling the anti-trans bills. In 5 minutes, the protests that broke out over the weekend. Plus, Chinese leaders are criticizing the U.S. for shooting down a balloon that traveled into U.S. airspace. We'll hear from Republicans who say there should have been action sooner. We also have reaction from the White House. And the death toll is rising after an earthquake hits in Turkey and Syria. Later, we'll check in on how the race is going to find survivors. But first, meteorologist Nathan Scott joins us. Nathan, after an icy couple of days last week, it's looking beautiful to start this week. Is the good weather here to stay? Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Jurnee. Yeah, it was a beautiful end to the weekend. We had lots of sun. Temperatures yesterday topped out into the mid to upper 60s. And right now, even with the competition of cloud cover, it's 68 in the capital city. There's more clouds down into south and southwest Arkansas, but everybody's warming up very nicely. It's 62 in Stuttgart, 69 in Pine Bluff, 63 in Hot Springs, and 65 in Arkadelphia. So this is unseasonably warm for this time of year, but we deserve it after what we just went through last week. Also on the breezy side, winds are kicking in from the south, pumping in that warmer air about 6 to 15 miles per hour. So the rest of your Monday shaping up to be this way. We'll see lots of clouds mixed in with some sun from time to time. And look at your numbers. I think many spots will top out into the low 70s today. Expecting a high of 72 in Little Rock, but rain chances do go up and they start to arrive here as early as tomorrow. But then Wednesday, it is going to be a wet day. More on that forecast coming up. Thank you, Nathan. Well, more than 14,000 homes and businesses are still without electricity after last week's ice storm. Most of the outages are coming from southern Arkansas. C&L Electric Cooperative customers are the hardest hit right now. Cleveland, Jefferson, Lincoln counties are still dealing with fallen trees and power lines, preventing crews from reaching all areas. Damage to the electric infrastructure could top $1 million after it's all said and done. A developing story in Jackson County. A 19-year-old is dead after she was shot outside a rap concert in Newport. It happened Saturday night by the old Branch High School building. Police believe hundreds of people gathered there for a performance by rapper Frito Bang. Around 2:30 a.m., 19-year-old Tamariana Jared of Augusta was killed and at least 4 other people were injured. Police arrested 2 suspects and they're still searching for more. This morning, a woman charged with kidnapping and murdering a pregnant Arkansas mom appeared in court. Amber Waterman from Missouri is facing 2 capital murder charges in the November killing of Ashley Bush. Court records show Waterman took Bush from Maysville, Arkansas to Pineville, Missouri. She's accused of killing Bush there and trying to take her unborn child as her own. Waterman and her husband, Jamie, were arrested after the baby died and they tried to make funeral arrangements. The federal trial for both Watermans is set for June 5th. The Biden administration has taken foreign and domestic heat for shooting down a Chinese spy balloon that traversed U.S. airspace. China claims force was unnecessary, while Republican critics say force was delayed. CBS's Nicole D'Antonio reports from Capitol Hill.
Beijing blasted the United States on Monday for downing a Chinese balloon.
They shot it!
The communist regime accused the U.S. of using indiscriminate force when a U.S. military jet fired a single missile at the aircraft off the South Carolina coast Saturday. A time and place President Biden says was the safest option. The unpiloted spy balloon traversed sensitive military sites across North America for a week. Republican critics say the Biden administration should have acted sooner.
I think this entire episode telegraphed weakness
to Xi and the Chinese government.
Senior Biden administration officials argued that closely observing the balloon in flight before shooting it down allowed us to better understand the Chinese program and further confirmed its mission was surveillance. White House officials say similar Chinese spy balloons have entered U.S. airspace before, and on Friday, one was spotted over Latin America.
This is part of a broad campaign to extract as much data and information as the Chinese Communist Party can to gain an advantage over us.
The diplomatic and political dust-up comes as the president's preparing to deliver his State of the Union address here at the Capitol tomorrow. It also sours U.S. efforts to tamp down tensions with China.
We have a real problem with China on a number of issues.
The Biden administration is now considering further actions against China. The full Senate is expected to receive a classified briefing on China's spy capabilities next week. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
As Arkansas lawmakers return to the Capitol today, they're facing increasing pressure over bills that some Arkansans feel are anti-transgender. The latest protests in Fayetteville on Saturday. Initially, it was going to be against the so-called drag bill, but with the recent amendments to that bill, they flipped their focus to House Bill 1156. It would require schools to designate rooms based on a student's birth-assigned gender for overnight trips, restrooms, and locker rooms.
I don't want anyone becoming so depressed at the prospect of this oppression that they do something truly regrettable.
So parents are very concerned, want to make sure their girls are safe at school, that their students are safe, and that everybody feels comfortable when they go to the bathroom at school and not have to be concerned.
If the bill becomes law, any administrator who does not enforce it would face a minimum $1,000 fine. It already passed in the House and is on to the Senate Education Committee. Communities in Ohio are under a mandatory evacuation order after a dramatic freight train derailment. Officials say around 50 cars, some carrying hazardous material, derailed in eastern Ohio, causing a massive fire. Now, it's been burning since Friday, and there is a high probability of an explosion that could release toxic gas into the air. Jessica Guay from CBS News Pittsburgh reports.
We are at a risk now of a catastrophic failure of that container.
A drastic change in temperature inside one of the toppled rail cars prompted that emergency warning late last night.
This catastrophic failure will, if it occurs, it will produce hydrogen chloride and phosgene gas into the atmosphere. We need you to leave now.
Since Friday, the flames continue to burn out of control from the heap of rail cars tossed across and on top of each other.
I just could not fathom all the fire.
About half of the 100 cars from this freight train traveling from Madison, Illinois to Conway, Pennsylvania derailed Friday, creating this massive blaze.
I went outside on the porch and looked, and you see flames shooting about 20 feet in the air.
The cause of the crash is still under investigation, but federal investigators with the NTSB say a preliminary review says 2 videos show a mechanical issue with the railcar axle.
We are working to identify which rail car experienced the potential mechanical issue for further examination.
Authorities say at least 20 of those cars were carrying hazardous chemicals. So far, East Palestine's mayor says the town's air and water quality are safe, and the state's environmental agency would remove any contaminants from nearby streams. But the lingering pungent smell in the air are giving some concern.
Is it safe for everybody to go back home? Is it safe to be anywhere within the blocked off area?
In East Palestine, Jessica Guay, CBS News Pittsburgh.
Well, Congress is considering new rules for airlines after severe air travel disruptions ruined the holidays for tens of thousands of Americans. A group of senators wants to enshrine a passenger bill of rights into law. Chris Van Cleve reports.
With their daughter Emily in a Denver, Colorado hospital over the holidays, Christine Pastor and her husband booked a Southwest Airlines flight for December 26th to be with Emily on her birthday. At the airport, they learned their flight was canceled, and it would be days before Southwest could find them another flight.
We were devastated. We were planning this trip for quite a while, and the most frustrating part is that it was blue skies. all the other airlines were flying and there were seats available and we just could not get there.
The Pastors were among the hundreds of thousands stranded during Southwest's meltdown, resulting in nearly 17,000 canceled flights, costing the company about $800 million. Now, several U.S. senators say airlines need to do more to protect consumers.
The goal is to level the playing field for consumers. They're being ripped off.
Senators Ed Markey and Richard Blumenthal introduced an Airline Passengers Bill of Rights aimed at requiring airlines to fairly compensate flyers during airline-caused delays and cancellations. The senators also want to limit fees for bags, seating, as well as for changes or cancellations. This, as the Department of Transportation is planning new regulations to prohibit charging for families to sit next to children.
If passengers could receive $1,350 whenever their flight is delayed by 4 hours, I am guaranteeing you there'd be a lot fewer delays.
Airlines for America, the trade group representing most of the nation's carriers, says it is in the interest of all U.S. airlines to provide a positive flight experience for all passengers. The proposed policies in this bill would drastically decrease competition, leading to a subsequent increase in airfare prices. The Pastors say they're still waiting to hear from Southwest if they'll be reimbursed for more than $800 in expenses from that trip they weren't able to take. Southwest acknowledges they are still working through some of those requests. The airline has apologized to customers, says it is investing $1 billion in improving its IT systems. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
Well, we're getting ready for the Super Bowl all week. After the break, the top TV options available so the game looks picture perfect. And speaking of picture perfect, I'm loving this day, Nathan.
No complaints here, Jurnee. We've got a mixture of sunny clouds, but temperatures, a little taste of spring in the air as they'll climb up to near 70 degrees. But the weather becomes more unsettled going through the rest of the work week. Rain returns. I'll let you know how much we could see coming up.